Welcome to UXi Pulse Online. This is the online version of our UXi Pulse newsletter, in which we'll be profiling one employee or a stakeholder or co-worker at a time. And this time round, I'm glad to introduce you to Neville Ince. Neville, welcome. First of all, just tell us, what is your official job within the UXi group and the type of tasks that you're involved with?
So a little bit about myself first. I live out in Johannesburg, with regards to my role, I'm the operations director, so I head up campus operations across the country. And in principle, operations is where the tie hits the tar, and this is where everything happens. The teaching and learning, the students, the qualifications get presented, and in principle, it's my job to drive that for the business.
What is the main driving force behind getting people doing their best within the work environment?
For me, I think we need to understand our purpose. What are we here for? If we understand and embrace our purpose, and we accept that we are here to educate the nation, specifically in terms in the vocational space and in terms of trade, and that in essence encourages people to be better at what they do and gives them a better life in the future, then we would go out and understand how we need to drive them. So that is where my drive comes from. My drive comes from the fact that I'm making a difference, and because I believe I'm making a difference, the role that I'm in, I need to make a difference in, and that is on campus. So that should be what drives us, our purpose.
But how do you get your team members involved and make them do their best every day?
It goes without saying, I think it's common that everybody knows and understands that energy is contagious. Energy is absolutely contagious. If you show up and you don't have the energy, you don't have the drive, you don't, it's like you just roll out of bed, then those that follow are going to follow in exactly the same way. So how do we ensure that our team on campuses, in operations, have the drive? Is we as the leaders, and I'm talking about all of the leaders from Exco all the way down to campus managers and to our staff that operate at various levels. If we show up and we show up with energy, that energy becomes contagious. We're able to pass it on to people next to us, and that propels us in moving forward and delivering purpose.
So if we think about Neville, the person, what would you say are your skills in life? What are you blessed with?
For me, there's an old saying. It says, tell me and I'll forget. Show me and I'll remember. Involve me and I will understand. So for me, buy-in is about involving people. For me, buy-in is not just about this command and control management or leadership style. I tell you, you do. For me, it's about getting people to understand that we are in this together. We drive this together. There's no one man. Everything we do as a team. And that gets buy-in. You're never going to get buy-in by driving the command and control management style in business. The more you involve people, the more they understand, the more they want to do.
So Neville, we're always curious about where people are coming from and how did they actually land within their current position. When did you join UXi Artisan Development, and what did you do prior to that?
So if I got to go back in terms of my career path, so I'm a retailer, a seasoned retailer. That's my background. My qualification is in people and business management. But there's a little bit more to Neville than just that. I go back to my youth. I come from a very underprivileged background, and it's a background I'm proud of because it's made me who I am. I didn't have a tertiary education straight out of school. I got out of school, I had to work a little bit, and I was a merchandiser in stores where I packed out milk and cut and priced cheese and put it on the shelf. I then moved into security, and you won't believe this, I was a security guard that sealed packets and put stickers on cool drinks and things when people walked into supermarkets, guarded buildings sometimes at night. And then from there, I moved into the formal retail space where I was a risk and loss control officer, into a risk and loss control manager, administration manager, store manager, regional executive, and my last role in retail, I was a divisional executive and looked after a huge portfolio and had a huge team that reported to me. I left retail because I wanted to do something more with my life. I was involved in a lot of development in terms of people development in my retail career. And with that being said, I found that I'd outgrown my space in retail, and I was not able to express or pursue my passion, which was the development of people. With that, I invested some of my money in a business called Durnacol. You all know it, in KZN, and it was then that I found my purpose, and my purpose is in people development. So that's my story.
If we think about the actual calling of UXi Artisan Development and what we're doing, what is the significance of being involved on the operational management level for you as a person and a leader?
I think if you're in a position where you understand people and you understand people dynamics, you can adapt to anything. What is it that we're selling? We're selling a product. And what is our product? Our product is education. Education in the vocational space. It's about understanding that product. And once I got to understand the product and having my experience around people management and people dynamics, I was able to step in and absorb those skills very, very easily.
But you are a father too. And when it comes to what we offer within the UXi Artisan Development Group in terms of skills training, how would you view the importance of the choices that our young men and women make in terms of their training and careers?
So interesting. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question. Being a father, and the phase that I'm actually going through in my life now is where my son's just exited his matric a year ago. It's his first year in university. My daughter is entering a phase in her life where she has to choose subjects which would poise her for a career in the future. I work, like I said, where the tire hits the tar, on the ground. This is where we actually educate people. And I'm in that space where I can pass on my passions and understand my emotions, my feelings as a father, and how education impacts my kids at home in my personal space. I could use that, or I do use that, in the professional space, in operations and on the campuses. So being a father gives me the ability to identify and relate to these learners on our campuses in terms of their space as youngsters pursuing careers that would make them successful in life.
Neville, now we need to focus on the work side more than who you are side. At work, in terms of operational management among the campuses of UXi Artisan Development, what is your view about success within that environment? How do you achieve that?
Skills is what makes you marketable. That's basically, in principle, a skill is what makes you marketable. When you go out into the job space, what is it that people are looking for? They're looking, or they want to identify the skill that you have in you that's going to add value to their organization. So being skilled is important, because without the skill, you're not in a position to transfer that value to your organization. So in a nutshell, without a skill, and skills vary, from space to space. But without a skill, you're not in a position to offer something to industry out there. So my encouragement is find your purpose, find your talent, and that will help you identify your skill and use that, leverage of that to get out there into the workspace.
Neville, talking to your team as the operations director, what are your views on operational success within the UXi Artisan Development Group?
Having a plan. Having a plan. So if you go back to the fundamentals of management, it starts with planning, leading, organizing, and controlling. It's planning your work. Okay. Organizing that work amongst your people, making sure everybody knows what it is they need to do. Lead them into doing it. Be an example. Step into their space. Be an example. Show them, guide them, direct them. Okay, that's leading. And finally, controlling the processes around it so that we're able to achieve our end destination or get our goal.
You did touch on it, but I have to get back to your family life and just find out more about what's happening in Neville's heart. Tell us about where you were born and the family that you were raised in.
So yeah, I was born in a little town in the Natal KZN Midlands, Newcastle. Yeah, we 4 siblings. My dad's passed on. My mom's still alive. She still lives in Newcastle. There's 4. There's 2 brothers, 2 sisters. I grew up in Newcastle, went to school in Newcastle, had my first job in Newcastle, and then moved out of Newcastle into Johannesburg, where I pursued a little bit of my education whilst I worked. And yeah, I've lived and worked in a lot of most of the parts of this country. So
Neville, and your own family today, if you look at the blessing that you have, the children that you refer to?
Yeah, so my son Liam, that's his name, by the way. Liam turns 19 on the 5th of November. So that's Liam, and he's studying in the IT space. He's doing a Bachelor of Science degree in computing. My daughter is Erin. Like I said, she's 15 years old. She's still in school. Yeah, and I think she's my challenge. She's the one that keeps me on my toes, keeps me, you know, like any young growing teenager, keeps me energetic, keeps me alive, keeps me young. Because if we're not able to adapt to what our kids want these days, we'd totally be lost. Those are my kids, and that's my family.
We're all just human, and we have to not only work, but also play from time to time. What are your hobbies, Neville, if you have anything else that's exciting you outside of the work environment?
So, hobbies. Yeah, who has time for hobbies these days? Now, I'm only kidding. So, if I had to, I spend a lot of time reading. I don't know if one could call it a hobby, but that's my go-to space. That's my happy space. I'm not too involved in too much of sport. I'm not a golfer, but I believe in exercising my mind, and I spend lots of time reading. One of my goals this year was to read 10 books before the end of this year, and I've achieved quite a significant part of it. I'm up to book 8. I've got a month or 2 left in this year, and comfortable that I would finish it. So my hobby talks to my passion. My passion is education, and it starts with educating myself, and I spend a lot of time reading.
Now we're getting to something else, and that is your hobbies that you refer to. You said you're reading. Do you have any favorite book, any favorite author?
I have lots of authors. I would not say a favorite book, but the book that I've been reading recently is called The 5 a.m. Club. So if I had to recommend a book, I would recommend at this point in time is The 5 a.m. Club. It's an awesome book about getting our mindsets right in terms of how we start our day. Because how you start your day will determine how you go through that day and how you close it. So yeah, the 5 a.m. book, 5 a.m. Club is the book.
Neville, just from books to music on the other side. Music's part of life. Do you have any favorite artists, any favorite genre of music?
Again, very varied. But yeah, I'm more of an R&B person, but I like a little bit of alternate music, some jazz every now and again. but retro jazz, not the old conventional sort of jazz. I'm not going to pick a specific artist because, again, like I say, there's different things that appeal to me. It will depend on the mood, and that will determine what it is that I want to listen to.
You said you were born in the heart of KwaZulu-Natal, in the Midlands, in Newcastle. So what would be your favorite dishes?
No, it's not curry. It's not curry. I would settle for an oxtail potjie, I think, would be my favorite dish. So I'm more a savory person, not at all with sweets. I'll have one now and again, but not too much.
Maybe just give us an idea of what it really is that's special about UXi Artisan Development that makes you proud, that makes you a proud member of this family.
I'm proud of what we've achieved in the last 4.5 years. The UXi AD group started off with just one campus in KZN, which was Durnacol. Thereafter into ASV and MCD, and now we sit with 13 campuses across the country. I'm proud of the fact that we've taken ailing businesses that really didn't do well in terms of some of our acquisitions, and we've turned them into really profitable businesses. I'm proud of the fact that we've taken teams that had different cultures, because we've grown our business primarily through acquisitions, and with acquisitions come individual business cultures, and we've taken that and we've got those teams to embrace our culture, the UXi culture, and in doing so are able to deliver the excellence that we have on campus.
Neville, last but not least, but I think very important, if there are learners out there or even business people who are not involved in UXi Artisan Development yet, how would you encourage them? What is the motivation to get involved in the life-changing difference that's being made by skills training?
That's an interesting question. So first and foremost, if you're not a learner, come in and come look at what we do, because you might find your purpose in understanding what we do. Secondly, I think if you are a business out there, if you're a government department, if you're a stakeholder or a partner in the education space, I think what you could do is you could start helping us encourage people to encourage learners, encourage youngsters to embrace technical skills, because not everybody is going to be a doctor, not everybody is going to be a lawyer. And if everybody's going to be a doctor, then who's going to do the plumbing? If everybody's going to be a lawyer, then who's going to take care of the electricity? There's a purpose for every one of us. And I think if you're not in our space right now, how would I encourage you to get involved in our space is to go out and help these youngsters understand the value of skills and understand the value of trade in our society.
Thank you so much, Neville Ince, Operations Director at the UXi Artisan Development Group, for your time, for sharing your knowledge, and for your inspirational motivation to everyone. Blessings.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.